the daughter of the Grand Secretary, stood in front of him, crying stubbornly, "Your fiancée is just an orphan. From a destitute family. What makes her better than me?" But Lu Shuyan remained cold and unmoved. He simply walked over and held my hand tightly. That day, the Grand Secretary's daughter left in a huff, and I became the most envied woman in the entire capital. I married Lu Shuyan as promised. I bore him children, accompanied him through the ups and downs of officialdom, endured hardships, and eventually achieved a life of peace and prosperity with grandchildren, until the news came that the servant's daughter had remained unmarried for Lu Xuyan's entire life, and had died young in her prime. Only then did he suddenly realize that the one he truly loved was not me, his wife who had been by his side all his life. He blamed me and hated me, never speaking another word to me, not even on my deathbed. Did he come to see me once? If I could start over, I would return to the age of 16. A maid arrived with a bundle, excitedly saying, "Miss, the ship to the capital is about to depart." I paused, then smiled and said, "I want go to the capital. This time, well, head south to Jiangnan. On the day I was about to die, Lu Shuyan was not there. The imperial physician had already said that I was at the end of my life and had only a few days left to live. At that time, Lu Shuyan was away on official business and had gone to Daizhou. The house was filled with sorrow. My son, seeing that I could barely breathe, held my hand and choked out, "Mother, hold on a little longer. I've already sent someone to find father. Daizhou is only half a day's journey from the capital. He'll be home soon." Several unmarried granddaughters also wiped away tears. Everyone says that grandfather loved grandmother deeply. Why did he leave at a time when he knew her condition was so critical? The imperial decree is difficult to defy. What could grandfather do? It's just unfortunate that fate is so cruel. If grandfather doesn't get to see grandmother one last time, he'll probably regret it for the rest of his life. Until hurried footsteps could be heard outside, the servant came in and stammered for a while before saying, "The old master." The old master said that his duties were urgent and he couldn't leave, so he won't be coming back. The room fell into an eerie silence, and no one spoke. I helplessly tugged at the corner of my mouth, and with each breath, my chest ached intensely, but I still wanted to laugh. I knew all along that Lu Shuyan wouldn't come back. He wouldn't regret it either. Upon hearing of my death, had probably be overjoyed. I had been married to Lu Shuyan for over 30 years. In the years since I married into the Lu family, I had spared no effort to manage the household affairs, ensuring he had no worries. To continue the Lu family line, I had given birth to 3 sons and 4 daughters for him without pause. Later, he was exiled to the desolate northern frontier. The people there were fierce and lawless. One day, Lu Shuyan must have offended someone, and even the government office was surrounded. The crowd swung stones and wooden sticks at us relentlessly. Lu Shuyan couldn't dodge in time and nearly got hit at the critical moment. I pushed him out of the way and took the blow myself. During the most agonizing moments, I even thought we might die there, but we survived. We returned to the capital, and I accompanied him as he rose from a low-ranking official to a high-ranking one. The year Lu Shuyan was promoted to Minister of the Ministry of Personnel, my body could no longer endure the strain. The imperial physician in the palace regretted to tell me, "Lady Lu, you have always been weakened by frequent childbirth, and over the years you have also exhausted yourself mentally. You yourself are skilled in medicine. Why did you push your body to such a state? Why?" I couldn't even explain it to myself, but I don't regret it. I kept the secret to myself, telling no one. At night, as I gazed at Lu Xuyan's sleeping face, my heart ached. If I were to die and leave him alone in this world, wouldn't that be too cruel? Our children still needed his support, and the Lu family couldn't collapse. I had to find a way to help him recover. I lived in constant anxiety day after day until the news spread throughout the capital that Yi Zhenjin had vowed to remain unmarried for Lu Xuyan's sake and had died of depression. That day, Lu Shuyan stayed alone in his study all night. When I pushed open the door, he was sitting on the ground, with several empty wine bottles scattered around him. Seeing me, he shouted drunkenly, "Do you know that because of you, I lost Xinjin? Why wasn't it you who died?" I was stunned for a moment before I could recall Yi Zhenjin's name. That year, I had come to the capital as promised to marry him, but Lu Shuyan had been chosen as the husband of Yi Zhenjin, the daughter of the Minister of Revenue. but he had clearly chosen me now. After more than half a lifetime, he seems to have suddenly realized the one he truly loved was not me, his wife, but Yi Jinjin, whom he had long since abandoned. He resented himself, but even more so, he resented me. But the person he loved was gone, and he had no chance to make amends. At that time, my youngest grandson with Lu Shuyan had already started his education in front of his children and grandchildren. He still put on a facade of being a good father and grandfather, but once he returned to the room, he never spoke another word to me. He moved his bedding to the soft couch, using his actions to prove that he would remain faithful to Yi Jinjin. Thinking about all this now, I still find it utterly ridiculous. Liu Shuyan is ridiculous. I am ridiculous. Those outside who envied our loving relationship were even more ridiculous. The sounds around me gradually faded away, and my eyelids grew heavy. I am the darkness as thick as ink. I sank deeper and deeper, before I completely lost consciousness. I did not feel any pain. I only felt how wonderful. The ridiculous and laughable life of Lu Shuyan and I is finally coming to an end. When I opened my eyes again, I saw a bustling, crowded dock. A gentle breeze blew, and the moist air penetrated my young, healthy chest. I spread my palms and looked in disbelief at the flesh that had regained its fullness. It felt like I was still dreaming. Mei Duo waved in front of me. Miss, the ship to the capital is about to depart. When shall we set off? I paused for a moment before smiling again. We're not going to the capital. Mei Duo froze. Miss, didn't the lady say you were to go to the capital to marry into the Lu family? It's said that the Lu family's young master has a high chance of passing the imperial exams this time. Such a son-in-law is something others would beg for. I didn't answer, only lowering my eyes and rubbing the jade pendant in my hand. That year, the Lu family fell into misfortune, and the entire family was imprisoned. My father and mother exhausted every means to help them escape. To settle matters for the Lu family. My mother even pawned her dowry. The entire Lu family was deeply grateful, and Lady Lu personally took my mother's hand and arranged the marriage between me and Lu Shuyan. At that time, the 80-year-old Lu Shuyan held my hand and said, "Little moon, in ancient times, Emperor Wu of Han built a golden house to hide his beloved concubine. In the future, I will also build a large golden house for you, so that you can live a carefree life, but gold is so expensive." My father saved his entire life's earnings and could only buy 2 gold hairpins for my mother. Now they've all been pawned. I tilted my head and thought for a moment. We don't need a golden house. A wooden house will do. But I love hibiscus flowers. When the time comes, you can plant hibiscus flowers all around the house. The adults all burst into laughter, and Lu Shuyan blushed shyly, but he never let go of my hand. My mother saw everything before she passed away. She handed me this jade pendant as a token of her trust, and she was even smiling. Xiao Yan has been writing to you constantly over the years, and your Aunt Lu is also very kind to others. She has already told me that as long as you marry into the Lu family, she will treat you as her own daughter. Your life will be smooth and prosperous from now on. Unfortunately, my mother was mistaken. I too was mistaken. That golden house was nothing but a deception to deceive the world. Liu Shuyan has already found someone else he loves. The one who will live in his house in the future will never be me. I sealed the jade pendant in an envelope and handed it to Mei Duo. Send it off, and then we will go south together. Su Huaiyue is nothing but an orphan whose entire family has died. A woman who brings misfortune to her parents. How could such a woman be worthy of our Lu family status? My son, do not make a foolish mistake. When Lu Shuyan was pulled back by his mother, he suddenly remembered that at this time in his previous life, Su Huaiyue should have already arrived in the capital. In recent days, he had been accompanying Yi Jinjin on lake tours, flower viewing, and incense offerings. She was nothing like Su Huaiyue, who was spoiled and prone to tantrums, always giving him the cold shoulder if things didn't go her way, but which noble lady didn't have a little temper? Thinking of how she had remained unmarried for his sake in her previous life and died in despair, his heart ached with bitterness and numbness. He longed to compensate her for everything he owed her. All his thoughts were on Yi Jinjin, and he had long since forgotten about Su Huaiyue. Now, hearing her name suddenly, he felt somewhat unfamiliar with it, seeing that he had no reaction. His mother persuaded him again. Now Miss Yi is deeply in love with you. She has a noble character and an extraordinary background. With the Yi family's support, the Liu family's glory will be just around the corner. This is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. Liu Shuyan frowned. Feeling uneasy, mother. I've told you before. I'm not doing this for these things. It's because Xinjin is truly exceptional. Even without the position of Deputy Minister of the Household Department in his previous life, he could still rise through the ranks. All he desires is Yi Xinjin. His mother looked at him for a moment before suddenly breaking into a smile. Very well. Very well. Mother understands. However, Su Huaiyue has worked so hard to climb into our Liu family. It won't be easy to call off the engagement. Once she arrives in the capital, they'll have the perfect opportunity to test her resolve. If she backs down, that's one thing. But if not... Liu Shuyan looked at his mother. Feeling helpless, his mother had always been like this once someone didn't meet her standards. She would go to great lengths to make them suffer. In his previous life, he had abandoned Yi Xinjin to spend his life with Su Huaiyue, leaving his mother harboring resentment ever since. At the time, Su Huaiyue had just given birth and her body was still weak. His mother fell ill and, under the pretext of praying for her recovery, made Su Huaiyue kneel by the bedside for several nights in a row, picking grains of rice from the floor. When his mother finally recovered, Su Huaiyue's knees were swollen and black. She didn't know if it was from the cold, but she developed a chronic illness from then on. When the pain came, she would cling to her stomach and toss and turn in bed, sweating so much that the pillowcase would become soaked. Thinking of this, Liu Shuyan felt a strange heaviness in his heart. He shook his head and sighed. It was the past. There was no need to dwell on it. Seeing him silent, his mother sighed. I know that Su Huaiyue has been exchanging letters with you all these years. She must feel deeply for you. But marriage is no trivial matter. You cannot act recklessly. This is what will do. If she is sensible, you can buy a house outside the estate and keep her there. After hesitating for a moment, Liu Shuyan nodded. He would follow his mother's wishes. Su Huaiyue had no parents and was alone in the world. Out of consideration for their past relationship, he didn't mind giving her a place to stay. As long as she didn't enter the mansion, Xinjin would surely agree. The rain in Ningjiang Prefecture was fine and steady, falling in a thick mist that blurred everything in sight. Mei Duo and I rented a small clinic by the river. On sunny days, we would dry herbs and help the villagers with their ailments. Life went on peacefully. Mei Duo never asked me why my medical skills had improved so much, just as she never asked me why I had abandoned the capital and broken off my engagement with the Liu family. She simply followed me here without hesitation. Occasionally, however, she had her own worries. After a plum rain, Mei Duo's brows furrowed like the twisted roots of an old tree. Miss, the herbs are damp again. This place is so different from Dazhou. No matter how we dry them, they never seem to get completely dry. Everything is so damp. I smiled and stuffed some green glutinous rice cake into her mouth. Is it sweet? She burst into laughter again. Sweet girl. This place is great. Everything tastes good here. Yes. This place is great here. I no longer have to worry about whether Liu Shuyan has a poor appetite in the heat and can't eat. Or worry about making him new winter clothes when it gets cold. Or worry about him offending some high official again. At night, I toss and turn, thinking about how to give gifts to people, how to make connections with the inner circle, and how to help him settle the grudges he's incurred. In my spare time, I brew a pot of clear tea. I lean by the window, watching the painted boats on the river, the willows by the shore, and the layers of fresh moss growing on the stone railings. In 3 days, it will be the Lantern Festival here. Mei Duo has been begging me to take her to see the festivities. I agreed. As the sun began to set, I had Mei Duo close the clinic's door, but before we could finish preparing, a loud banging on the door echoed from outside. A servant stood at the door, out of breath. This is a place where lives are at stake. How dare you close the doors so carelessly? What if someone's life is endangered? His words made no sense. Mei Duo frowned, about to snap back, when the young gentleman standing beside her suddenly turned around. He smiled apologetically, his familiar features still carrying the grace I remembered. My servant was rude. Please don't take it to heart. My name is Cui Yubai. I'm new to this area and unfortunately injured myself. Would you be so kind as to take a look? I looked at the bloodstains on Chui Yubai's sleeves and was momentarily stunned, thinking back. Every time I met Chui Yubai, it seemed to be when we were both at our worst. The first time I saw him was in my previous life. That time, I was with Mei Duo. Following the address given by the Liu family, when we knocked on the door, we were rudely driven away by the housekeeper. He said that someone as lowly as me dared to come seeking relatives. It was sheer folly, and told me to leave immediately. Though it was early autumn in the capital, the wind was bitterly cold. I wandered aimlessly through the streets, feeling as though this vast city had no place for me. Just then, Chui Yubai walked past me. He was dressed in a blue robe, strolling leisurely with a folding fan in hand. Looking like a scholar. I don't know where I found the courage, but I dared to block his path. Sir, do you know where the examination hall is? Could you please point me in the right direction? I thought to myself. Today was the day the results were posted. And Lu Shuyan must be there. I had to find him. As for what I would do once I found him, I hadn't figured that out yet. Chui Yubai looked at me quietly for a moment, then suddenly smiled. What a coincidence. I'm going there too. If you don't mind, you can come with me. That time, I didn't know the person I had stopped was none other than the famous son of the Marquis of Jinbei, Chui Yubai, the top scholar of this year's imperial examination. I followed him nervously to the examination hall, and among the many candidates, I spotted Lu Shuyan immediately. Yi Jinjin, crying with tears streaming down her face, was stubbornly asking him, Lu Shuyan, what's wrong with me? Your fiancé is just a lowly commoner, yet you'd rather have her than me. The crowd around them was jeering. Some urged Lu Shuyan to accept this beautiful woman, while others offered him advice. They said his fiancé was unworthy of him and that he should simply call off the engagement. Only Chui Yubai remained cold and indifferent, his eyes filled with mockery. As a man, he couldn't even handle his own family affairs and had dragged his fiancé into this scandal. Was such a person worthy of being called an educated scholar? I stared at him, and before I knew it, I blurted out the question, don't you think it's a good deal to trade a useless woman for a bright future and a beautiful bride? Everyone else thinks so, and I'm sure Lu Shuyan does too, isn't that right? Chui Yubai closed his fan and looked at me solemnly. I don't know about others, but if that woman were the one I truly loved, I wouldn't agree even if you offered me the most precious thing in the world. Moreover, what is useless and what is useful? Does it really depend on whether she has a powerful father behind her? What kind of logic is that? I refused to accept it. He spoke with such certainty, as if it were an unbreakable rule of the world. At that moment, I couldn't help but feel that perhaps not everyone in the capital was so cold-hearted. Time has passed, and I no longer remember how I responded to him. Or perhaps I didn't respond at all. All I remember is that when I came to my senses, he was already gone. My second encounter with Chui Yubai was at the border. At that time, there was a rebellion at the border, and Lu Shuyan was both anxious and angry. He suddenly fell ill with a heart attack and collapsed on the bed, with no other choice. I could only lead the soldiers to guard the city walls. The enemy was clearly coming in force, with a sea of rebels relentlessly charging the city gates, shouting obscenities and threats. They even threatened that once they breached the gates, they would slaughter me, the county magistrate's wife, and use my body as a sacrifice. I thought I was doomed. Just then, the sound of hooves echoed in the distance, and dust swirled in the air. A dark mass of reinforcements appeared out of nowhere, like heavenly soldiers. At the forefront was Chui Yubai, riding a white horse at full gallop. Later, I learned that he had originally been sent by the imperial court to inspect the troops. Upon discovering the dire situation, he acted decisively, borrowing troops to come to our rescue. The uprising was quelled in no time. At the celebratory banquet that night, Chui Yubai was forced to drink heavily. As he sat alone under the veranda to sober up. I had just returned from the infirmary where I had been treating the wounded soldiers. The moonlight shone like silk, and the evening breeze rustled his sleeves. He stared at me for a long time, his eyes unfocused, as if in a dream, seemingly drunk beyond measure. I didn't know if he remembered me, but I dared not forget the debt of saving my life. So I hurriedly bowed in gratitude. Thank you, Mr. Chui. For saving my life. I will repay you with my life one day. The shadows of the trees danced on his face, which flickered in the moonlight. I couldn't tell what he was thinking after an unknown amount of time. He bowed slightly and avoided my gaze. Madame Su is too kind. Chui is merely fulfilling his duty as a subject of the emperor. There is no need for thanks to it. Wasn't until after I left that I realized he had called her Madame Su instead of Madame Lu. We parted in haste and never saw each other again. The debt I owed him remained unreturned until my death. Who would have thought that time would pass so quickly, and a lifetime would come full circle? He was standing before me once again. I stepped aside to let Chui Yubai enter. Mei Duo was still annoyed by the servant's rude behavior. Seeing that I had agreed, she could only huff and run off to fetch water. Chui Yubai had come to take up his new post as prefect. But on the way, he had encountered a band of bandits. He was badly injured, with a large gash on his well-defined back. The servant beside him watched with his eyes and eyebrows furrowed. If it weren't for the young master's sudden whim to take a shortcut, you wouldn't have been injured. I just don't understand. After all, the government office isn't going anywhere. Why was the young master in such a hurry? Chui Yubai scolded him lightly. Shut up. In the dim light, his back trembled slightly as I applied the medicine. The room was quiet, and all that could be heard was his heavy breathing. After a long while, Chui Yubai spoke again, as if searching for something to say. Is Miss Su a native of Ningjiang Prefecture? No. Does she have any other family members? It must be very difficult for a woman to support herself alone. Has she encountered any trouble? No. Chui is new here and doesn't know the local customs. Could you introduce me to someone? I didn't say anything. Even the servant couldn't bear to watch anymore. Master, please don't ask anymore. If others see you, they'll think you're not here to see the patient. But to flirt with the girl, those words made Mei Duo unable to control herself, and she giggled out loud. Chui Yubai stammered and stopped talking. He turned his head slightly, dared not look at me anymore, but the redness at his ears, hidden under his hair, was fully exposed in the light. I couldn't help but curve my lips into a smile. In his previous life, Chui Yubai held a high position but refused to marry, always living a lonely life. Even the emperor couldn't do anything about him when pushed too hard. He simply retreated to the mountains to become a Taoist priest. I always thought that someone like him must be self-disciplined and composed. Who would have thought he had such a temperament in private? By the time everything was tidied up, it was already late at night. It wasn't appropriate for me to keep guests overnight, and Chui Yubai was considerate enough to leave. As he was about to step out, he seemed to remember something and reached into the carriage to take out an 8-treasure glass lamp. The small colored lamp shimmered in the candlelight, and the most wonderful part was that it was double-layered. When slightly turned, the beautiful men and women on it seemed to come to life. It was as if they were about to perform a passionate and heartrending story. Today is the Lantern Festival, and I ruined the young lattice mood. Let this lamp be my apology to her. The lantern swayed, and Chui Yubai's eyes shone as brightly as stars in the sky. I wish you a healthy and prosperous year ahead. Perhaps it was thanks to Chui Yubai's lantern. My medical clinic's business has been thriving, especially after word spread that the prefect had been treated there. Even the local thugs and ruffians now keep their distance. Chui Yubai came frequently, saying he wanted to repay my life-saving grace. He would bring 2 or 3 items each time, such as jeweled hairpins from the jewelry shop and freshly baked pastries from the apricot fragrance pavilion. Before long, the clinic was filled with the gifts he had brought in a previous life. He had done me a favor, but now we were merely strangers who had crossed paths. I truly felt unworthy of such generosity, but he always had a way of explaining it. A young lady saved my life with her hands. To you, it may have been just saving a patient, but to me, you are my savior. A life saved must be repaid with a wellspring of gratitude. If you refuse, it means you don't consider me a friend. I couldn't argue with him, so I had to think of other ways to compensate him. Recently, the Ningjiang Prefecture has been severely flooded, and Chui Yubai has been busy organizing people to reinforce the dikes. The river water is cold and damp, making it easy for mosquitoes to breed. After thinking it over, I selected some herbs and decided to make him a perfume pouch. Chui Yubai loves bamboo, and his sleeves and handkerchiefs are embroidered with bamboo patterns. In my previous life, the emperor heard about this and specially granted him a bamboo garden. I heard that he is extremely particular about everything, Even the tea he drinks is brewed with dew collected from bamboo leaves in the early morning. Yet, despite his meticulous nature, Chui Yubai comes to the clinic to help after finishing his official duties each day. The clinic was not a clean place. The sour vomit of sick children and the foul odor from the patients' bodies filled the air. Most people couldn't stand it. At least Lu Xian hated it. In my previous life, I would occasionally go to the military camp to bandage the wounds of the soldiers. When I returned, his brows would furrow deeply. You are the county magistrate's wife, not some village woman wandering the streets. Don't you find the smell on your body particularly disgusting? He disliked me going to the clinic, saying it was a filthy place. He disliked me personally tending to flowers and plants, saying it was unbecoming of a county magistrate's wife. The things he disliked, I gradually stopped doing. Chui Yubai, however, seemed not to care at all. He would patiently wipe the dirt from the children's mouths and give them a piece of candy. He would also help the sick and infirm with a calm expression. Here, he no longer seemed like the aristocratic young master who had once been so aloof. He had come down to earth and taken root. He seemed to have the same ordinary loves, hates, and compassion as everyone else. In our previous life, we were too far apart, and I never truly understood him. Now I realized that he was actually very easy to understand. The setting sun shone through the window lattice onto Chui Yubai's angular face. He shook the bamboo-patterned perfume pouch, and the joy in his eyes gradually overflowed. Is this for me? This unexpected surprise was so overwhelming that I even doubted what kind of priceless treasure I had given him, but it was just a perfume pouch. Moreover, my embroidery skills were poor, and the bamboo I had embroidered looked limp and lifeless, lacking the rugged elegance that scholars and literati admired. I pushed aside the chaotic thoughts in my mind and smiled apologetically. If Mr. Chui doesn't like it, you can take out the herbs inside. They have the effect of dispelling evil spirits and preventing epidemics. I like it. Chui Yubai interrupted me urgently, but his voice was extremely soft. I like this perfume pouch. I like the bamboo pattern, and I even like the scent of the herbs inside. He looked at me, his gaze burning so intensely it was almost frightening. I like everything about it. Chui Yubai started calling me by my name, and Mei Duo was the first to notice. She looked at me in confusion and asked, "Miss, do you think something is off with Mr. Chui?" I didn't answer, unsure of what to say. The image of those burning eyes flashed before my eyes again, making me unconsciously touch my chest. It felt warm there too, but how could that be? Chui Yubai is a prodigy, born into a noble family with a prestigious background. Whether in his past life or this one, he was destined to walk a path paved with flowers, and I, ordinary and ordinary, spent my life supporting Lu Xian, only to discover in the end that he loved someone else. I scoffed, unable to resist mocking my own wild thoughts in my heart. Although the Linjiang mansion wasn't large, if one truly wanted to avoid someone, it wasn't difficult. The clinic suddenly had many patients who needed to be treated outside, and I was busy every day, so I naturally saw Chui Yubai less often. Chui Yubai still came every day when I wasn't there. He would occasionally sit in the courtyard, lost in thought, or occasionally loosen the soil and fertilize the golden thread hibiscus in the corner. Day after day passed, and when I looked back, I realized that several small buds had appeared on the green branches. From afar, they looked like carefully wrapped gifts, waiting lonely for someone to admire them. It made my heart ache even more. I stared blankly, thinking to myself, if I wait a little longer, maybe by the time the flowers bloom, they'll have everything figured out. But time doesn't wait for anyone. After a storm, the flowers and plants outside the window were shattered into pieces. This relentless rain was truly depressing, making my heart feel heavy. Until that day, Mei Duo suddenly ran in with a pale face. "Miss, it's bad. The river has burst its banks." The city by the river had not experienced flooding in decades, but this rain was too heavy. Even though Chui Yubai had reinforced the embankments, several sections outside the city had been breached. Mei Duo's voice trembled with tears. When Mr. Chui heard the news, he rushed over early in the morning, but the river bank was slippery, and he was swept away by the waves. "He's gone." It felt as though something heavy had struck my chest. My vision spun in dizzying circles. My mind was a chaotic whirlwind of thoughts. I suddenly recalled that in my previous life, There had also been a massive flood in Jiangnan.at that time. Both banks of the river had been completely washed away, and the people were left homeless. Even the local magistrate had drowned while trying to rescue others.at the time. I was stationed at the border and only sighed when merchants mentioned it. I felt sorry for the suffering people and for the magistrate who had dedicated himself to his duty, but how could I have known? That was Linjiang Prefecture, that was Chui Yubai. The rain poured relentlessly on my face and body as I ran along both banks of the river. I found no trace of Chui Yubai. I stood motionless by the riverbank, watching the water rage and roar without mercy. It was like a wild beast out of control, capable of swallowing a person whole in an instant. Everyone said that Chui Yubai was lost forever. Even Mei Duo tried to persuade me. Miss, don't look for him anymore. The water is so fast. It's impossible to survive if you fall in. If Mr. Chui, he wouldn't want to see you torturing yourself like this, but I didn't believe it. How could someone like Chui Yubai die so easily? In my previous life, he was alive and well in the capital at this time. Fate took a sudden turn and played such a cruel joke on me. I refuse to believe this is his fate. I will search inch by inch until I find him. There are so many questions I haven't answered, so many things I haven't told him. He can't just disappear like this. I am the early morning mist. Paper money fluttered in the wind, and flickers of firelight danced in the air. So many people had perished in this disaster. Those left behind could only hope to prepare more paper money, so that they could rest in peace in the afterlife and no longer suffer. I dared not look, dared not think. I could only keep searching. I didn't know how long I had been searching until a voice called out in the mist. Anew. I froze in place until hurried footsteps approached me, and I turned around trembling, but I didn't see the person I had imagined. Instead, I saw Lu Zuyan's face, both unfamiliar and familiar. He gripped my shoulders tightly, his eyes red with emotion. Do you know how long I've been searching for you? I went to Dazhou, but your home had already been abandoned. I had to arrange for people to search for clues about you bit by bit, but I couldn't find you anywhere. It turns out you came here. You. Why did you break off the engagement? Why didn't you come to the capital? Do you know how long I've been waiting for you there? I stared at him blankly, as if I were still in a dream, until the sharp pain from his tight grip on my shoulders snapped me back to reality. I spoke calmly. Let go of me. I didn't want to know why he had come here. I didn't want to know why he had come looking for me, but I was too exhausted to even muster the strength to break free. Liu Shiyan gripped my hand even tighter. I won't let go. If I let you go, you'll leave. You. How long do you plan to keep running away from me? But before he could finish, his face was struck hard by a fist. He fell heavily to the ground. Someone pulled me into their arms, as if I were a precious treasure they had lost and found again. I turned around in shock. Chui Yubai was disheveled and pale as a ghost, yet he smiled at me with the serenity of a clear moonlit night. I'm back. Tears streamed down my face uncontrollably as I trembled, reaching out my hand. I wanted to touch him, but I dared not. Liu Shiyan looked utterly stunned. You too? When did you meet? You. Don't you owe me an explanation? But I didn't want to explain, nor did I want to see him. At that moment, my heart and eyes were filled with Chui Yubai. I wanted to ask him what he had gone through during the time he was missing. Was he hurt? Was he afraid? I had so many questions to ask him. Chui Yubai tightened his grip on my hand. You. Don't worry. He'll tell you everything. I suppressed the bitterness in my heart and nodded. We have plenty of time, enough for him to tell me everything slowly. I can wait. But Lu Shiyan wouldn't let me go. He blocked my way angrily, his eyes filled with madness. Chui Yubai, we are the same age and serve in the same court. Don't you know that Ayu is my fiancé? No. I interrupted him, but my words were directed at Chui Yubai. I am not his fiancé. We are as strangers to each other. The divorce papers and the jade pendant have already been sent to the capital. Liu Shiyan and I have no connection whatsoever. I know. Chui Yubai laughed, his laughter loud and unrestrained. Even if you were still his fiancé, I wouldn't care. He'll stick to you, cling to you, and make you know that I, Chui Yubai, have loved you, Su Huayue, for a long time. They'll even take you away and make you my wife. Liu Zuyan's chest heaved violently. You're shameless. What's wrong with being shameless? Lu Xiuyan, have you forgotten that there's a beautiful bride waiting for you in the capital? How dare you say these things in front of Ayu? Chui Yubai's eyes darkened, and he spoke slowly and deliberately. Get out of the way. This time. Lu Shuyan froze in place, whether it was because he had been struck by the truth or something else. He stared at me, his lips trembling. "Ah, you." I can explain, but I had already avoided him and followed Chui Yubai's footsteps, I left him far behind. Chui Yubai took me to the government office, after passing through the corridor. We entered the backyard, which led to his bedroom. A wooden screen blocked all sight, and I could only hear the sound of washing from inside. Waiting outside grew increasingly agonizing. When I pushed open the door, Chui Yubai hadn't finished putting on his outer robe, seeing me go straight for his collar. He hurriedly grabbed my hand. His ears were bright red, and his gaze grew evasive. "You. We haven't even married yet. Isn't this too soon?" But before he could finish, his collar was already torn open by me. The sunlight streamed through the window, illuminating his well-defined chest and waist. It also revealed the deep, bone-exposing wounds. The river was rushing, and the broken stones mixed in it were like knives. He had been caught in it, and surviving was already a miracle. But I couldn't help but touch them, my fingertips trembling slightly. "You fool. Don't you feel any pain?" "Of course it hurts," but he was so foolish that he didn't utter a single sound. Chui Yubai gripped my hand. "It doesn't hurt." At that moment, all I could think about was you. I had long since forgotten the pain. I was only regretting that I hadn't told you how I felt before, and that I had been too cowardly to ask about your feelings. He looked at me with unprecedented seriousness. I've liked you since a very long time ago. I didn't avoid him anymore. I just smiled. How long? Since last lifetime. He paused. You already know. Of course I know. The time Chui Yubai was away was very long. Very long, long enough for me to figure everything out. I understood why he had come to Linjiang Prefecture at such a convenient time. I understood why he had knocked on the door of my clinic that night. His unspoken feelings were like the buds on that golden silk hibiscus. They were right there for me to see, but I refused to look. Afraid to look. I thought I had escaped my past life. Escape Lu Shuyan. I thought I could avoid being hurt, but those scars had already been deeply etched into my heart. They made me hesitant and cowardly. They made me doubt whether I was worthy of love. My voice grew very soft. Chui Yubai. You're good. You've always been good. It's me who isn't good enough. Chui Yubai embraced me tightly, holding me close. You're wrong. I'm not as good as you imagined. I am despicable, hypocritical, and foolish. I fell for you the first time I saw you. But I didn't even realize it. You don't know how much I regret it. How much I regret pushing you into his arms with my own hands. How happy I was when I saw you at the border. And how jealous I was when I saw him standing beside you so openly. That's why I dared not see you again. Avoiding you at every turn. I was afraid that if I lost control, I would ruin your happiness, but he never imagined that you wasn't happy at all. She was the girl he cherished like a precious treasure. Yet Lu Shuyan abandoned her for another woman. When he learned of Ayu's death, he made up his mind Lu Shuyan didn't deserve to live either. No one dared disobey the Prime Minister's orders. And soon a group of pirates raided his returning ship. In that pirate raid, all the ship's treasures were looted. And by chance, only the minister of the Ministry of Personnel was killed, but that wasn't enough. As soon as the Lu family buried him, he had grave robbers dig up his grave and scatter his ashes into a dung heap. He didn't deserve to be by Ayu's side. He would take Ayu away, and no one else could take her from him. They could go to the border, to Dazhou, or anywhere else they wanted, just the two of them. But he never imagined that when he opened his eyes, he would find himself in a different world. Heaven had mercy on him, allowing Chui Yubai to stand before Ayu once more. This time, there was no one else, just the two of them. Feeling the warmth in his arms, Chui Yubai wanted to hold her even tighter. He wished he could hold her so tightly that she would be embedded in his chest, but he was afraid that if he held her too tightly, he would crush this precious treasure he had finally obtained. He could only ask cautiously, "Ayu, once we've finished all this, let's return to the capital and get married there." "Okay." After a moment, he heard Ayu laugh softly. "Yes. Let's go back to the capital together." The flood in Linjiang Prefecture had not yet been completely contained. Chui Yubai was busy ensuring that the disaster victims had hot porridge to eat when they were hungry and a roof over their heads at night. He could only come to the clinic late at night, To drink a cup of tea and have a meal, sometimes. He hadn't even finished his meal. He would collapse onto the desk and fall into a deep sleep. I am also very busy. I took my duo to visit doctors at various clinics. And finally they agreed to treat the disaster victims together. Actually, it's not just us, the entire Linjiang prefecture has mobilized. People have organized themselves spontaneously. Some bringing clothes, others bringing medicine. Those who have nothing to give take a bowl of rice from their own rice jar, like scattered stars. They seemed insignificant at first, but eventually gathered into a vast starry sky. The common people were fragile, like wild grass in the fields, easily uprooted by the slightest breeze or rain, but they were also resilient. Given even the slightest opportunity, they would rise again. It took half a month for Linjiang Prefecture to regain its vitality. To celebrate their survival, the city held a grand lantern festival. As night fell, I carried the 8-treasure glass lantern and pushed open the door of the medical clinic. But I did not see Cui Yubai. Liu Xiuyan walked up to me and said, "You. Let's talk. What is there to talk about?" I honestly didn't know what else to say, but Liu Xiuyan wouldn't let it go. I had come here to aid the disaster victims. And now that the flood in Linjiang Prefecture had subsided, I was about to return to the capital. We had known each other since childhood. Can't you even spare a word for me? I scoffed. What do you want to say? Liu Xiuyan took a deep breath. You must remember the past. So you should understand me better. Xinjin sacrificed her entire life for me. And I feel guilty. I can't betray her. But I've never thought of giving up on you. We've supported each other for so many years. And we've even had children and grandchildren. Have you forgotten all that? You can't bear to part with Yi Xinjin. So what do you plan to do with me? Buy a house outside and make me your concubine? Or bring me into the mansion and have me serve you and Yi Xinjin every day, as a concubine to attend to your marital affairs? Liu Xiuyan stammered. You. That's not what I meant. Well, find a way. A wave of warmth washed over her eyes, and a sense of resentment welled up in her heart. I thought I had already forgotten everything from my previous life. But it turns out I hadn't. Those wounds were merely dormant in my heart. I didn't know when they would resurface to bite me again. I looked at him sarcastically. Liu Xiuyan. Admit it. You've never looked down on me, whether in my previous life or now. You've always been self-righteous, thinking that giving me a place to stay was a favor you were doing me. I, Su Huayue, am an orphan with no parents. My family background isn't as prestigious as others. And my appearance isn't particularly outstanding either. But even someone as ordinary as me deserves to be treated with genuine kindness. Back then, I didn't understand. I clung to his occasional displays of warmth, thinking that was love. But it wasn't until he confronted me for Yi Xinjin, asking why it wasn't me who died. It wasn't until he refused to look at me even as I lay dying. No. Perhaps it was even earlier, when Mrs. Liu tormented me. He merely watched coldly as I suffered. After 10 years of enduring hardship together at the border, he only felt disgust toward me. I should have realized long ago that Liu Xiuyan and I were never meant to be together. I turned away, refusing to look at him. Liu Xiuyan, I no longer blame you. Nor do I hate you. I only wish that this lifetime holds no connection between us. The wind rustled the shadows. And in the distance, Cui Yubai approached with a lantern in hand. This time, he stopped at a distance and extended his hand toward me. You. Let's go, don't go over there. You. We can talk about our matters later. But someone like Cui Yubai, a spoiled young master from a prestigious family, could never truly love you. Don't ruin your future just to spite me. Liu Xiuyan grabbed my sleeve. His eyes filled with pleading. I scoffed and broke free from his grip. I walked toward Cui Yubai with light steps. When I reached him, I noticed that the lamp in his hand was almost identical to mine, the same 8-treasure glass. The same handsome young man, but it was different from mine. The beauty was leaning tenderly against the young man's chest, while he bowed his head, lost in thought. As if the only thing on his mind was her, Cui Yubai's true feelings were completely exposed. But he didn't seem to care. He simply bumped the lamp against mine. What a perfect pair. I couldn't help but giggle. At that moment, the moon hung high in the sky, and the shadows of the two of us were intertwined. making it the perfect time for companionship when Chui Yu-bai and I returned to the capital. It had already been half a year, the first time I went to the Chui family's house. I couldn't help but feel nervous. The lesson from Lady Lu in my previous life was too profound. Although I wasn't afraid. The thought of being drawn into the intrigues of the inner courtyard made me wearied. I couldn't help but feel tired. Chui Yu-bai tapped my nose. Don't worry. I'm not like those useless men. The Chui family is under my control. As long as I'm here, no one dares to bully you. Not even my own mother. No. Even if I'm not here, they won't dared. I bit my lip. Not quite believing him. Are you so certain? He laughed freely. Of course. If anyone opposes me, I'll renounce the Chui surname and give up everything. Taking you far away to start anew. I knew he was joking, but somehow, my heart truly settled. As we approached the capital, Chui Yu-bai helped me down from the carriage to rest. Upon entering the room, it was already filled with travelers of all kinds. After meals, they couldn't help but discuss the latest gossip. Have you heard? There's been a big commotion in the capital recently. The daughter of a minister's mansion accidentally fell into the water while arguing with another woman. And when she was rescued, it was discovered that she was already pregnant. I asked that so. Hee. I heard that the daughter of the Grand Secretary was already engaged to a third-place scholar in the imperial exams. It was probably just a moment of passion between the young couple. Once they're married, the matter will be settled. And it won't be a big deal. You're mistaken. The problem is that the child isn't the third-place scholars at all. Apparently, the young lady had an affair with a private tutor while she was still unmarried. Unfortunately, the minister of the Imperial Secretariat broke them up, but she refused to give up and continued her affair with the tutor in secret. Now that she's pregnant, she's trying to pin it on the third-place scholar. Such bizarre and sensational scandals have always been the most intriguing to people's curiosity. For a time, everyone forgot to eat and began discussing the matter fervently. Some suggested that the third-place scholar should take the matter to court and have the emperor punish the minister's family for fraud. Others speculated that the third-place scholar might have known about the affair all along, willingly becoming a scapegoat, all for the sake of gaining the support of the Yu family. So that he could rise to the heavens. I listened in astonishment, completely engrossed. But Chui Yu-bai took my hand. Let's go. It's getting late. We should set off. I smiled and gripped his hand. Yes. We should set off. As for others and other matters, they no longer concern me. Life is long yet short. There is no time for hesitation. Who knows when heaven will take back all its generosity? This time, I will hold on to my happiness tightly. I will never let it slip away again.